Hi, good evening, everyone. So let's wait 1 or 2 minutes, then we'll start it. All right, so I think we are good to start. So good morning, good evening, guys, and welcome to the Networkings. So today we are going to start our course for F5 LTM, and I will be your instructor for this class. Let me tell you about myself. So I have like around 8 years of experience in F5 in terms of support and services. Okay. So before we start, let's have a quick introduction, like Farhan and Prasanna.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, myself Prasanna Kumar. I'm working as a network engineer from 10 years. So I want to upgrade some firewalls things, stuff, and F5 load balancer. That's why I enrolled in this program in networkings.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. All right. So thank you. Let me just share my screen. Let me know once you can see my screen.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this course is specifically for F5 LTM. So we'll discuss about the different kind of module we have. But yeah, this course is specific to local traffic manager. And in this course of F5, we'll go through the very basics to the advanced level, like what is a F5 and why do we require of it. Okay. We have different types of terminology like web, pool member. So we'll go or explain all these types of terminology, why we call as a web. We'll start from the licensing, how you can install the licenses, and like we can go in the advanced level, like what is I rule, high availability, and the policies and all. Okay. So before we start, let me show you the course content of this course. All right. So this will be our training agenda. So as I mentioned, like we'll start from about F5 and the requirement of it. And like the product line, we have a different types of modules available in F5. Like you have a F5 device available in the hardware, or we have a virtual hub F5 as well, or you can deploy your F5 in the cloud as well. So we'll go through all the deployment and all the types of product, how you can and how you can deploy your F5 on the different environments. And we have different types of module of F5. Like we have different types of module. We can say LTM, we have GTM, we have APM, we have ASM. So what is the function of different modules? As I mentioned earlier, that this course is specifically for F5 LTM. But yeah, we'll touch all the modules, like actually the functions of different modules. But specifically this course is for F5 LTM. We'll discuss about the F5 architecture, how your architecture in F5 LTM, you have different things like you have TMOS, you have bash, you have shell. So we'll go through the F5 architecture. And obviously how you can start your F5 like through serial cable or the management cable. You can how you can deploy your F5. So there are a couple of different deployment method. Like if you have an existing environment, how you can deploy your F5, or if you are setting up a new environment, how you can deploy your F5 over there. Big IP setup utility is kind of licensing part, how you can license your F5 at the very beginning, or how you can create the network terminology over there, like VLANs, interfaces, how you can configure it. So that will cover under the setup utility. We'll check the traffic flow of F5, how the traffic being flown in your F5 from client to backend servers, and your F5 will come in between your client and the server. So how it will flow through the end-to-end traffic flow. We'll check these things as well. Backup and restore. Backup, how you can take a configuration backup, and in case of any F5 issue, how you can reinstall it in your F5 and how you can archive your configuration over there. So we'll check on these things as well in this course. And as I mentioned, like we have different kind of terminology in F5, what we called as a node, as a pool, and what is a WIP, and why we define like that. And we have different load balancing methods. So you have a couple of different types of load balancing. We'll explore all the load balancing method one by one. We have kind of called as a priority group activation. If I explain you the priority group activation, it is a terminology basically used to make your servers in primary and the secondary mode. But yeah, there are some things which you have to define over on the F5, how you can do in priority wise, primary and the secondary. So that will be done through the priority group activations. Health monitor is basically used to check the health of your backend server, what we have configured in your F5. So they basically check the health. So we have different types of monitoring part over there. So we'll go through one by one in the health monitor part. Profiles are basically to customize your network traffic, how you can manipulate it from client to F5. So there are some different types of profiles. We will explore all the different types of profile and how you can attach to your traffic, and how you can basically manipulate with those you can manipulate the traffic based on those different profiles. We have some other topics as well, like SNET, AutoMap. So how you can do those things. SNET is basically secure network address translation. So as I'm expecting like you guys have the network background, so you must be aware about the net address translation. So it is kind of the same thing, but how you can use in your F5, that matters, and we'll definitely go through that SNET topic as well. We have some predefined templates we called as a IApp in F5. So how you can create your F5 based on the some predefined templates. I rules are basically used to customize, manipulate, or redirecting of your client traffic through the scripting part. So I'll go through all these kinds of iRule, how you can do those manipulation in terms of client traffic. So we'll go through each and everything in iRule. High availability is basically used for the active and standby things. If you can use your F5 in primary and secondary mode, or in primary active and active mode. So we have this high availability topic where we will use 2 F5 instead of 1. Troubleshooting, will have a complete session for the troubleshooting of your F5, how you can check the logs, what is a QKview file, and what explain a TCP dump, and how you can use those things to troubleshoot any issue which comes in your F5. So this is all about the course content, what we will cover in this course. Apart from this, we have policies in F5, so we will cover that part as well. And after this course, I'll provide you some basic interview questions, how like with those help of those interview questions you can basically crack some interviews as well. So this is all about the course content of your F5, and I'm reiterating this word again, that this course is specifically for F5 LTM. But yeah, we'll touch the different modules like F5 LTM, GTM, APM, ASM, but this is only for the F5 LTM. For the lab part, I'll show you the lab, what the lab we will use in this course. So we have 2 labs over here. If I show you over this is our lab part. So in lab, if you can see here, we have one system here which is connected to our F5, which has 2 interfaces. One is for management and other one is for the external connectivity. And also we have 4 backend node which will use those servers. Also we have one internet link, although this is not required, but yeah, I'll explain you why we require this other interface as well, which is connected to the internet. And this lab is for a standalone connection. That means we will use one F5 over here, but when we go through the HA part where we required 2 F5s, for this case we will use this particular lab where we have 2 F5 instead of 1, and we'll use those F5 in a pair. So this is all about our lab part. Each and every student will get his separate access where he can do some kind of a hands-on and whatever he want to do with the lab part. All right. So this is all about our lab part. Let me know if anyone has any issue. All right. So as I mentioned, it's a demo part today. So we'll start our class from the next week, Saturday. I hope you all are aware about the timings and all. So let's start with one small topic that is F5 load balancer, why we call it as a load balancer. But before we that, let's understand why F5 is required and what is a F5 actually. So F5, if we clearly says F5 is a load balancer, that is okay. Technically it is okay, but actually it is more than load balancer. It is like application delivery controller. What do you understand by application delivery controller? So actually it receives the request or the client request on the layer 7. It's a layer 7 device, and it ensures the smooth delivery of your client traffic to the backend node. Even if your backend servers are down, it ensures that your client will not face any kind of an issue while accessing his application. If one server is down, it will redirect the request to the other servers. So if I tell you about this scenario, we have this backend node and this is your client traffic. In earlier days, when we don't have a F5, requests will all go to the backend servers. If that servers goes down, client has to reinitiate the application request to the any other servers, because we don't have any load balancer in between that. So every time when we have any issue with the backend server, client has to reinitiate the request to the other servers, because this is not a single server where the application will be hosted. There are a couple of backend nodes where the application is hosted. But whenever we have F5 comes and sit between the client and the backend servers. So whenever the request will come, it will first go to your F5. And if this server is down, so whatever F5 will do, F5 will send this request to the second servers or the next available server. If we have multiple servers, it will send the request to the next available server. Until and unless one server is available, F5 will forward this request to the servers. So client do not need to repeat his request. So it all about the F5 responsibility. Also, it provides some kind of a security. It provides end-to-end encryption of your traffic, so that your traffic will be secure. If that traffic is coming from the internet and internet have multiple malicious people are there, so they can steal they can hack your data. But F5 will provide the end-to-end security from client to the F5 and F5 to the backend node. This is all about, like, these are the some advantage. We have a multiple advantage to have a F5 in your environment, right? Now let's talk about load balancing method. Let's suppose we have a different backend node over here. Load balancing for any application, like this is abc.com. Whenever client is initiating this request to the F5, F5 has a multiple backend servers where the application is hosted. You all aware that application is hosted only on the servers. So how the request is being distributed among the different servers? Request is coming to your F5, but how F5 will be sending these requests to the backend node? It's all about the equal load balancing, so that request can be distributed equally among the different servers. We have 3 servers, so how F5 will send those requests to the backend servers? So if we talk about the load balancing methods are the 2 types. One is static load balancing And second is dynamic load balancing. Static load balancing, let's forget about the load balancing. First, understand about the static part. If you are from the network background, so do you understand about the static routing and the dynamic routing, right? What are defined as a static routing? Suppose we have different routers, and let's suppose like we have this kind of a connectivity. This would be your A, this would be your B, this would be your D, and this would be your C. In static routing, how it happened? Like if A want to reach towards the D, what are the possible ways we have? Either traffic can go directly from A to D, or traffic can go A to B to D, or we have A to C to D. We have three alternative ways to reach from A to D, right? How the static routing works? You will define the things or routing manually, right? First, you will define that you have to go to the A to D, A to B, and B to D. It really doesn't matter what is a direct connectivity or not. It will follow the path what we defined manually, right? We will define you have to go to your next hop, that is router B, and then router B will define the next hop to the router D. Same thing happened with your static load balancing as well. Being a F5 administrator, you will define how the traffic will be distributed among the three different servers. For static load balancing, we have two types of load balancing. One is round robin, and second is ratio. In round robin load balancing method, request will be distributed based on the sequence. Like first request will come from client to F5, F5 will send to the server 1. Second request will come, request will go to the second server. Third request will come, third request will go to the third server. Whenever the fourth request will come, it will again go to the server 1. So it's like a round robin way. First come, first go, second come, second go, third come, third go. This is how requests will be distributed among the different servers. And why it is static load balancing? Because you have defined this thing manually. F5 is not taking any decision to forward those requests to the backend nodes. It's your, like being a F5 administrator mechanism, it is sending the request on the backend nodes. All right. This is how the request will be distributed among the different servers. This is your client. This is your F5 in between your servers. Whenever the request will come, first request will go to the first server. Second request will go to the second server. Third request will go to the third server. And fourth request will go to the fourth server. Fifth request, whenever it comes, the fifth request, as we have only 4 backend nodes, so it again starts from the start. So fifth request will go to the first server, second request, sixth request will go to the second server, and so on. So how your request will be distributed among the backend nodes? Second load balancing method is ratio. Ratio, to be frank, it is not used in your environments, but yeah, we do have this ratio load balancing method. As per the ratio, what will happen based on the backend nodes? Like if you have 3 backend servers, request will be distributed based on the ratio. Like if you have 3 base backend nodes, you have defined the ratio like 3 ratio 1 ratio 1. So what will happen? Request will be distributed based on the ratio. So if first request will come, it will go to the first server. Second request will go to the second server, and third request will go to the third server. Whenever the fourth request will come, it will go to the server 1. But when the fifth request will come, it will again go to the server 1 instead of server 2. Why? Because we have defined the ratio like 3 ratio 1 ratio 1. How it will work? Out of 5 requests, 3 will go to the server 1. First, 1 will go to the server 2. 1 will go to the server 3. Same thing happened when the next cycle will start. Now, 5 request has come. Now, whenever the 6th request will come, it will again go to the server 1. 7th will come, it will go to the server 2. 8th request will come, it will go to the server 3. So the request will be distributed among in the kind of 3 ratio 1 ratio 1. Total number of 5 requests, 3 will go to the server 1, 1 will go to the server 2, and 1 will go to the server 3. Okay. See in the example, we have 4 backend servers and we have defined the ratio like 3 ratio 2 ratio 1 and ratio 1. So whenever the first request will come, it will go to the server 1. When the second request will come, it will go to the server 2. Third will come, will go to server 3. Fourth will come, it will go to the server 4. Fifth will go to server 1. Sixth will go to server 2. But whenever request 7 will come, see, we have only ratio 1 ratio 1. So only one request will go to the server 3 and 4. So request 7 will again go to the server 1 instead of server 3. So out of 7 requests, 3 will go to server 1, 2 will go to server 2, and 1 will go to server 1, 3, and 1 will go to server 4. Right? Now, the different types of load, the other different types of load balancing is dynamic load balancing. Dynamic work like a same manner, like how you define the dynamic routing. How the dynamic routing will work? You have different routing protocols like EIGRP, OSPF, or IGRP, although it is not used, but yeah, IGRP. All right. What happened in these types of routing protocol? You define the next hop? No. you don't define any kind of a next hop. What you will do, you will run the routing protocols on the each routers. You will run routing protocol like OSPF over here, OSPF over here, here and here. Now how they work? They will run its own routing table over here and check the cost to reach to their neighbor's router. This router will check the cost, calculate the cost between B to D. They will check the cost between A to B. They will check the cost between A to D, and they will check the cost between A to C, and so on. Now you don't need to define the next hop. What they will do, they have calculate the cost to reach from 1 to second neighbor. So whenever you want to go from A to D or B to C, they have on their data. So they will check the cost where they have maximum like low cost, minimum low cost actually. So they will calculate the cost. Okay, I'm getting this cost while trying to reach from B to A and A to C. They will calculate the cost from B to D and D to C. They will check the cost, and where we have low cost, they will prefer that path, right? That happened in dynamic routing. Same concept will work in your F5 case as well. If you talk about dynamic load balancing, now you don't need to define that. You will define either ratio over here, like you have to follow this ratio, or you have to follow this pattern, like you have to go to 1 by 1, 1 by 1, or you have to follow this pattern 3:2:1, right? You don't need to follow this approach. Now F5 will take decision based on their calculation. We have different types of load balancing method as well. First is least connection. Second is fastest. Third is observed. And fourth is predictive. So they in these types of dynamic load balancing, F5 will run its own algorithm to check where I will send the request on which server. They don't have any kind of a mechanism. They will calculate it, like who is sending the response in the fastest manner, or who has the less number of connection. So I should send the request to that particular server, right? So let's understand the first types of dynamic load balancing is least connection. In least connection, F5 will check the number of connection to the each server. Suppose for ABC application, they have 3 backend nodes, and they have servers connections is like 23 or 34 or 25. Let's suppose they have something like that. So whenever a request will come to your F5, this client has initiated a request and request reached to your F5. F5 will calculate the number of connections, and with his calculation, F5 found that these are the number of connection it is running. So who has a less number of connection, request will go to that particular server. So request will send to the server who has the least connection. It has 23. Request will go. Again, whenever the next request will come, F5 again calculate the number of connection to the backend node. When it calculate, it will check. Now they have 24 connection. Okay, it will check. It has 24, 34, 25. Okay, this server has the least connection. Let's send the request to the server. Whenever the next request will come, it will check 25 now. It will check the number of connection on the servers. It will check 25 here, 34 here, 25 over here. Okay. Now, two server has a equal number of connection. So ideally, on which server F5 will send the request. So there is no mechanism to identify this algorithm, which server will get this request. There is no kind of a mechanism available on F5, although F5 documents as well. So request can go to any of the server in when we have an equal number of connection. It can go on 25 for server 1, or it can go on server 3. If it will go on server 1, the connection will move to 26. So whenever the next request will come, it will check which server has the least connection. So it will like 26, 34, 25. So this server has the least connection. So the next request will send to the server 3. Okay. Do we have any doubt in this kind of load balancing? Or any other doubt which we have? Okay. If not, so see, this is the least connections. We have 4 backend node which has the connection like 459, 460, 461, 470. So the one request will come, the connection will reach to 460, 460, 461, 470. So first request will go to 460. Then next request will, whenever the next request will come, the count will increase 460, 461, 460, 460, 461, and 470. Request can go either of the server, either this one or this one. In our diagram, it sends to the second server. Now count increased to 461. Whenever the next request will come, it increased to 461, 460, 461. Next request, number 3 request will come. Request has the least connection, so 460 has the least one, so it will go to server 2, and so on. So request will be distributed among the different server in that particular way, like who has the least connection, request will go to that particular server. All right. So I think we are good for now. As I mentioned, this is our demo session. So if anyone has any doubt, please let me know. Anyone has any doubt, like anything apart from like anything you can ask for the lab part or the course content, what we will cover in this particular course, or is there any doubt where I can help you out? All right. So if no one has any doubt. So just to tell you, like, we'll start our course from the next week. Yeah, next week. This will be our weekend batch. So timings would be 6 p.m. IST if you are sitting in a different time zone. So please calculate the time according to your time zone. But yeah, for the Indian Standard Time, it will be 6 p.m. and this will be our weekend batch. Yeah, I left one thing. Let me cover that part as well. Let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, yes.
Okay. For the documentation part, we have this kind of a PPT. I'll provide that PPT after the course finished, like not after the in the last class or the second last class. I'll provide this kind of a PPT for the documentation part. All right. So this has a like around 225 slides. So I'll provide those to you. Okay, apart from it, I'll provide one document, how you can install the licenses. I have created a separate part. It's so how you can configure or do the things at your level. I'll provide you some interview questions. I have written some interview questions, which will help you to take some interview part. Also, for the iRule part, as I mentioned, iRule is a scripting part. So, like everyone was not good to write a program. So I have few examples. Like those will be more than enough for your environment, like how you can redirect or do the things for you. So I have written those iRules for you. Also, there is yeah, I missed that part in the PPT as well. So we will cover that part, how you can upgrade your F5, whether they are in standalone or in the high availability in the redundancies. So how you can upgrade the plan F5. So I have a brief plan about it. So I'll provide those documents with you guys whenever like in the course, in between your course. So this is all about for the documentation side. I will provide you. Okay. Shubhandla, I'm really sorry to say, but yeah, we cannot provide that course for now because there are some things which I cannot share for now. You know, because we will cover this course from this PPT only, and I'll teach you from this PPT part. Okay. But yeah, I'll definitely share with you like a week before our course end. For the course part, I can say this course will be completing between 20 to 24 5 hours course. In this course, we will check all the CLI part, CLI troubleshooting, CLI traffic flow. We'll do the configuration from the CLI as well as the GUI part. So we'll perform both the things over here. Okay.
Is it 2 hours class or 1 hour?
It will be a 2 hours class because it's a weekend, so we will have a 2 hours class.
So 6 to 8.
6 to 8, yeah.
Okay.
Because like there is no mean for 1 hour class for the weekend actually. If we have this weekdays batch, so yeah, definitely it will go 1 hour per day. For the weekend, it will be go for the 2 hours per day.
Every Saturday, Sunday, or only Sunday?
Yeah, it will be a Saturday, Sunday.
So it's around 12 classes.
Yeah, one class for 2 hours.
So total 24 hours.
Yeah, total, I can say like 20 to 25 in between that. Yeah, 24 you can say like that. Because we have much course in FI, so we'll cover each and everything as we have different modules as well. So we'll cover those modules. We'll actually not cover, we'll touch those different modules as well. So yeah, 20 to 25 hours we'll try to complete this course.
Means almost 2 months will take,
Not completely 2 months, but yeah, 1.5 months, like
including practicals and all labs.
yeah, definitely. Including everything will be covered through the lab only. Like if we'll do single kind of a configuration, that will be done only on the lab side. We have a file, so we'll perform all the configuration on those labs. So don't worry about it. Even we'll do the troubleshooting part as well. Okay. All right. If nothing else, so I think we are good to drop off. So we'll meet next week. Or if anyone has any doubt, so you can kindly get in touch with the spokespersons like Gaurav and other team member. So if you have any doubts. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thanks for joining.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. We'll meet next week. Bye.